gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to one of our wee weekly live streams where tonight we're just going to have a bit of a catch up, a bit of a gab ahead of Celtic's friendly against Manchester City, which will kick off at 12:30 when midnight strikes. Will be half an hour from kick-off, so technically tomorrow morning, but we're just going to say tonight for the sake of ease and just because we're all normal like that. It's tonight. I mean, do any of you regard 1 and 2 in the morning as the morning? I don't. I just call it tonight, quite frankly. Hello, it's nice to see you. If you haven't, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. Frank. It's nice to see a lot of the regulars in. Cal, Colin, Big Dom, Matthew, a few of the regulars in, some other faces. Can I just apologise straight off the bat because I'm absolutely knackered. You think I would have been travelling today, even though my holiday was cancelled. I'm just absolutely done in, which has left me sounding and looking quite knackered. So apologies if you think that I'm a bit downbeat or anything tonight. I am trying my absolute best. Lubo, are you there? Says watching from North Carolina. Are you there, Lubo? If so, wow. Enjoy. It's nice to see you. Tonight it's mostly going to be a little bit of holiday was people are cancelled. Yeah, holiday was cancelled. Will I tell the story for those that maybe didn't watch yesterday's video? I'll tell the story at the start of the stream because tonight is mostly going to be a chat. Let's get it out of the way. It's going to be a chat because there's not an awful lot that's happened today. There's not an awful lot in the news. I mostly was going to talk about tonight's game and mostly just wanted to get your questions. This was going to be one of those more chilled, laid-back streams. There wasn't enough in the news. I mean, if you go onto any of the fan media-led websites, if you go into Google and you just type in Celtic FC news, for example, there's not an awful lot that's happened today to kind of catch up on most things we spoke about in yesterday's video. So today is mostly just going to be a Q&A. I want to talk to you guys. I've missed you guys. I've missed these streams, even though I done one on like Thursday night or whatever day it was before I was meant to go away. I've missed it, and I enjoy these streams. We'll talk about the Man City game a little bit. So yeah, people asking. There's Demo, the man. Evening, Ryan. I'm strolling up Tattersall Road. It's a great evening. It's a lot. It is boiling in here. It's humid in this loft. I feel like I'm in a greenhouse, which isn't helping with the tiredness that I was talking about. So let me get this story out the way. So people say, cancelled? Was your holiday cancelled? Yeah, holiday was cancelled. So essentially what happened. So of course Friday morning the news broke surrounding the dodgy internet systems that broke in airports and all the rest of it. Flights were grounded, yeah, blah blah blah. Whatever, didn't really bother me because my flight wasn't until 8:30 on Friday night. I thought we'll be fine by then, and of course the internet did get fixed by then and stuff. So I was like, oh, we'll be fine. We're at Prestwick Airport. We're literally the only flight taking off from the place. We'll be absolutely fine. We've picked the right time to go to Prestwick. So our flight was scheduled for a 8:30 departure at night. We get there at 6:30. Of course, you're 2 hours before you're meant to be there. And we see on the screen that we've been delayed. I'm thinking, oh, for God's sake. A delay, great, fantastic. That's us eating into one of the only nights that we've got over here because it was only a long weekend we were really going for. So the delays keep going and going and going. We see that the flight that our plane hasn't even departed Palma yet for the flight that was bringing people back, and it just kept moving times and all the rest of it. Cut a long story short, the plane finally landed at around 1 a.m. So we were meant to take off at 8:30, and now we were looking towards a 1:30 in the morning takeoff. So we're queuing up, everybody waiting to go in the flight. Suddenly, one of the stewards tells us it wasn't looking good, that it might get cancelled. But then 2 minutes later, nope, everybody starts cheering. We're making our way to the plane. We're making our way through. We're on our way to the plane. We're on the tarmac. We're staring up at the big Ryanair Boeing 747, whatever jet it is, I don't know. Where people start boarding the plane, and next thing you know, nope, turn round, get off, your flight's cancelled. 1:30 in the morning after sitting in the airport from 6:30 at night. At 1:30, flight cancelled, we're taken back, giving out a letter about cancellation that apparently Ryanair claim we're not eligible for compensation because it was out of their control that the flight was cancelled reportedly, even though we've heard mixed stories about why the flight was cancelled. Anyway, yeah, that's the story. That's how the holiday was cancelled, and that's how I'm still here. Thank you, Ryan 118 Air Fund. Yes, Ryan 118 here. Of course, let's start our own fucking airline. That'd be great. Aye, that's that story. Let's get into Q&As. Hi Orla, nice to see you. It was nice meeting you here. Saying who do I think will start tonight? I don't know, actually. I don't know who I think will start tonight. I think that we'll hopefully maybe see a run out at some point in the game for Kasper Schmeichel. Apart from that, listen, it's just a pre-season friendly, so I'm not overly bothered about who will maybe start the game. I think that you could maybe see Scales and Welsh start beside each other. I think there's a chance Sinsalo will start the game, so hopefully we see the two new guys in Schmeichel and Sinsalo. Aside from that, it's always hard to predict who's going to start a friendly, but we're playing Man City, so you'd like to think maybe the strongest available side will start the game. Obviously, maybe excluding your Callum McGregors and Cameron Carter-Vickers, who are still kind of nursing their way back into the sides. But thank you, Stephen. I really do appreciate that. The Canadian dollars as well. So yeah, first mistake fine with Ryanair, potentially. So tonight, let's talk about tonight then very quickly. For those who don't have the details, we play Manchester City at the Kennan Stadium. Which will be a fun encounter against the English champions, of course. It kicks off at 12:30, so half an hour after midnight strikes. And it's listed as a 19:30 at 7:30 p.m. local kickoff. So yeah, we beat DC United 4-0, of course. Manchester City do have the likes of Haaland able to play. Of course, they're still not going to be playing their players who were late in the Euros. So, you know, they're English players like Foden, for example, but they do have most of their other players there and fit. Probably Haaland will play the game. I don't expect Celtic to win tonight. I think that would be a bit of a far stretch, but I would love us to put up a close competition. And obviously, we just want to see a general improvement in certain players. Welsh versus Haaland is going to be soul destroying, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Forever Celtic is feeling quite optimistic, saying 2-0 to Celtic tonight. I mean, that would be unbelievable. A bit worried if Kyogo gets a knock. What happens then? Well, that's what you've got to ask Brendan Rodgers and the Celtic board, because they're the ones who haven't made a decision yet to sign a second striker, and they're stalling on signing a second striker. Hopefully they take it easy in the friendly, and they don't get Kyogo's told not to go in too hard. And hopefully his shoulder doesn't pop out of place. In terms of transfers, I'd like to put my head through a wall. Yeah. So listen. We don't really. Our City playing a good team. We don't know yet. Don't know. The teams won't be out till about 11:30 tonight. So we can only assume that it will be a good team. Because listen, this is the thing about Manchester City. There's no point in asking the question: are they going to play a good team? Manchester City are one of the few clubs in world football that I think from head to toe in all areas of the club, from senior level to youth level, are really well drilled. They are producing at all ends, and they have a really good system, a really streamlined system, where young players are coming through, playing really well, and even if they're not making it into the Manchester City team, they're getting loan moves to decent teams, or they end up signing for decent teams, and they become good elsewhere. You know, there's been a few examples of that in recent years where players have left City at a young age and went on to do good things. The most recent being Cole Palmer, who is now tearing it up at Chelsea. So it doesn't matter what team Man City play tonight, it's going to be a really good team. They are some of the best young players in the world. And even if it's Haaland up front or whoever, they still will obviously present a very, very good challenge. So yeah, we'll see what happens tonight. We might talk about that. I just want to get into the Q&A. In terms of other news, as I said, there's very much little to nothing. Paulo Bernardo, we're still waiting to see official confirmation of his signing for the club. Adam Ida, we're still waiting news that Celtic have actually put in a second bid. That hasn't happened as of yet. And we're still waiting a centre half. We're still waiting a left back. We're still waiting in other areas. We're waiting to hear if there's any more with linked players such as Daryl O'Shea, of course, Michael Ange Balikwisha, who we were linked with of Antwerp. We want to see if any of these rumours, these deals move any further forward, but I wouldn't hold your breath for now, because I'm not entirely sure. Right, Q&A. I've already yapped for 10 minutes, so we've got, by the way, 300 live viewers on a night when there has been absolutely bugger all to talk about. Can I just say thank you for that? I need to turn the fan on because I'll pass out. Can I just say thank you for that? And if you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. We'll be back with the regular videos tomorrow. So let's get into hearing what you guys are saying. Because I'm fed up of hearing about Ida as well, to be quite honest. Not in a bad way, not towards Ida, but I'm just getting a bit tired of the story not progressing. This second bid that we made for Adam Ida, I think, was made on the 3rd of July or something. It was right at the start of the month. And we've had no further progress since then. So it's getting a bit tiresome, generally. And as much as I want him to become a Celtic player, it's just, yeah, it's been boring, to be quite honest. So I hope it gets settled soon. And either we sign him or we move on to our next target. Lubo says, I hope that O'Reilly has a stinker tonight to keep the interest away. Well, doesn't help with his performance against DC United, of course. But yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I would love the suitors to piss off, quite frankly. At least we hopefully get to see Casper tested at the least. Yeah, I would love to see a glimpse of Casper Schmeichel tonight at the very least. Do I think he will? I don't see why not. I just wouldn't be shocked if they maybe saved him for the game against Chelsea, because it has all happened very quickly for him travelling and such. So we'll see. But he's been doing all the press. So do I think the Celtic are stalling with the Bernardo announcement while they work on other deals to drip feed info into the media? I don't know. I don't like reading too much into things in terms of trying to create hypotheticals. I've never really bothered with that. But there's always a chance of it. I think that if they would do that, then I think they would have to be pretty certain on another deal being wrapped up soon, because if not, then why not just announce them and give the fans something to talk about and something to be happy about, you know? So, yeah, I would be surprised if so. That's what I would say. What I would say is I have to obviously scroll down the chat, so if I have missed any of your questions and you really want me to answer them, then please feel free to get them back in. Strange letting O go before getting a replacement in. Yeah, I spoke about this in a live stream the other day. I think that's more to do with the fact that Celtic probably wanted to capitalise on a decent offer being on the table while it was there. If they said no and then the offer went and then we were just kind of keeping O captive, it might not have went well. So I think that is more to do with that. But yeah, obviously CM Punk being cleared, happy, what a day. You would have heard me last night from all areas of the city. Big massive thank you to Ian, one of the regulars, absolute legend. Ian, love you, who's donated £5, saying, hi Ryan, sorry to hear about your holiday being cancelled. It's okay, brother, it's fine. Every cloud has a silver lining and it'll all work out. Are you doing a watch along tonight? No, I'm not. Listen, I was thinking about it, but I am absolutely done in. I've been doing a lot today, and I'm generally knackered. Plus, the thought of sitting up watching a friendly till 3 in the morning and having to stream it is not ideal. So, no, I won't be, sadly, Ian. But maybe Chelsea. We'll see. Orla asking, do I think that Man City will win the league again this year? Well, yeah, I do. I don't think any team in England, this is why obviously I don't expect Celtic to get a result tonight. I think that Manchester City are so far ahead of every team in England at the minute. And I know you might say, people might turn around and go, well, Arsenal got close to them, but did they really get that close to them? I think that City managed to kind of coast and still win that title. They're just miles ahead. Listen, I hate City. I despise them. I despise Guardiola. I despise everything about Manchester City. But right now they're ran very well in the sense that, you know, they've got a good team and a team that's programmed well to win things. But they still got beaten in the FA Cup final. So hold that. Yeah, I think they will win the league, Orla, to be quite honest. Oh wow. Oh no. So Matthew saying I'd rather we sign Shankland rather than either. If I'm being honest, Shankland Hills was the Scottish quarter. No way. No way. Listen, I'll say it with my chest, and I'll say it again, and again, and again. Shankland is not that great. I don't care. I do not care. Shankland is good, but he's not anything special, and I wouldn't be signing him for Celtic. That's all. Thanks very much. I want a player that can do more than Lawrence Shankland. Far more than Lawrence Shankland. I would rather Miofsky than Shankland, quite frankly. But I wanted this sign. Just get the big man in, please. Bold opinion from Cal saying that O'Reilly stays in this window. The closer that we get to the start of the season, pardon me, the closer that we get to the start of the season, the more realistic that I think it might get that O'Reilly ends up staying. There was that report that came out over the weekend that Southampton are apparently ready to push the boat out and prepare a bid that would be exceeding the Scottish transfer record. You know, they want to maybe put forward a bid upwards of £25 million, closer to £30 million. Now, I don't know how much truth is in that story. That's all pinch of salt stuff. It was I think the Sunday Mirror that maybe reported it originally. If that happens, then I think we could say goodbye. But if it doesn't happen, which I think there's a chance of it not happening, Celtic will hold their player. They will say, well, no, we'll wait till the next window. And I think that Matt O'Reilly wouldn't be totally against that if he understands that the value is not on the table for Celtic. And he's not down tools in pre-season by any stretch. We've seen how he played against DC United. So I don't think it's an outlandish claim to say that he stays in this window the deeper that we get in. Ryan smokes 118 cigarettes a day. Not anymore. There's a pop-up shop here in Chapel Hill. The whole place was City merch with 1 wee corner, about 10 Celtic tops. Not surprised. And it's crazy, isn't it? It's an embarrassment because Celtic are 10 times the size of Manchester City. Always will be. They'll always be Little City. Little City. That's all they are. Thank you, Andy Tate. Not Andrew Tate. Andy Tate. Not giving a shout out to Andrew Tate. That's definitely not happening. The manager must have a cut-off point for losing Matt. Yeah, I think that they'll be in close conversation about what the manager's willing to accept, the club are willing to accept. And I think Matt O'Reilly will be very aware of that. No way are we going to let him go for, that 14-15 million pounds we're talking about that Atlanta are offering. No way. I honestly think it could be a draw if we play how we play against DC United. Listen, it's a friendly, so a draw would be a cracking result for Celtic, and never say never. Say O'Reilly leaves on August the 25th onwards, we'd really struggle to replace him, but then I feel if he left tomorrow, we still wouldn't replace him. Yeah, I think that doesn't even matter for Celtic, does it, the date and time he leaves, because, Christ, we haven't replaced Ida yet, even with Ida. So, God, we know how we operate. We're a pain in the arse of a club, to be quite honest. Let's see, we had a zesty impression. It's just how Andy Tate sounds, isn't it? Little City. I joined late, mate. Why is your holiday cancelled? Is it the abroad? No, it's not anything to do about the tourist protests or anything like that. Flight was cancelled because the airports were a mess on Friday with the internet outage and blah, 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 blah. A lot of nonsense. I explained it more at the start of the stream, so if you could go back and look at it if you want. But thank you. I do appreciate you saying that, mate. I do. Thank you. It's a gutter, but it is what it is. Shit happens. And you've just got to move on, haven't you? It's as simple as that. If Matt goes as Bernardo the replacement, I have a feeling the club would maybe make that the case. But hopefully not. I would love us to beat City tonight. You know, I hate City. I mean, it's no secret. Everybody who basically watches my channel knows that I've always been a Man United guy in terms of, like, you know, if I was to lean towards an English club, it's been them. I've loved Man United since I was a wee boy. I say loved. I've liked Manchester United since I was a wee boy. Since I was like 7 years old. And, you know, I would love us just to beat City tonight. I can't stand them. Can't stand anything about them. I hate City, not as much as I hate Rangers, but they're not far away. And that's not even just because of United. That's because of everything City stand for. I fucking hate it. Hate it. Pardon me. As long as no one gets injured, I'll be happy. Yeah, absolutely not. No injuries. No injuries at all. Oh, there's Aaron. Hello. Sinisalo's distribution looked great. I didn't get to see any of the DC United game. I think I seen like the first sort of 10-15 minutes of it. And it was Bain goals at the time. So I've not managed to deep dive yet, Aaron, on Sinisalo. But I'm really excited to see what happens with his Celtic future. So hopefully he gets a few minutes over the course of the next couple of friendlies. And hopefully he also gets a few minutes over the course of the season as well. We've bought 3 players since January the 1st, with 2 being keepers. Yep. The Celtic way, Cal. The Celtic way. We wouldn't be Celtic if we were operating in a better fashion than that, would we? To be quite honest. Let's see. Jota, Ida both haven't been replaced. So if they were to take 30 million for O'Reilly, not replaced with big money, fans would go nuts. We can't keep doing that. We can, but we will. That's the sad thing. And I absolutely, we haven't replaced Jota, which is mad. I can kind of understand the sense that we tried to with like the signing of Luis Palma, for example. He was supposed to be a replacement. We obviously already had Dyson Maida, who could have been a replacement, but to let a player of that substantial quality go and then not use the money to bring in someone of at least potential quality of that level is mad that we've still not done that. But it is what it is, isn't it? This kick-off time is murder. Second, can't watch it. It is murder, it is. I'm shattered, as I said. It's 9:20. Still got so long to go. So long to go. Was meant to be off today, but got called in late yesterday, so I won't see the game. Oh, that's a gutter. Don't worry. Avoid spoilers and you can watch it as if it's live, my man. Hello, Murray, saying, Ryan, I hope you've been well. Lawwell must have been absolutely buzzing with the IT carnage on Friday. Would have been distraught when they were back up and running, mind. Yep. That was his excuse. He was hoping that the internet and the systems were going to be down all summer so he could say, oh, listen, we couldn't sign anybody. He would have loved that. We need to get the checkbook out in the next few weeks. It's nuts that we are just over a fortnight away. So not even a fortnight, just under a fortnight away from the season kicking off. And we've signed 2 goalkeepers and nothing else, which is absolutely crazy. And I have been really if you've been watching the channel all summer, which I know a lot of you in the chat have been, I've been really patient this summer, and I've been trying to understand this summer in terms of signing the right quality. But wow, we have been waiting a long, long time. I mean, as Big Dom said here, Jota, Starfield, Moy, Bernabei, Abada still. Well, we don't need to replace Bernabei, do we? Let's not get another Bernabei. No, I'm joking. I know what you mean. You're right. We arguably haven't went out and replaced these players. We don't have a backup left back, so I get where you're coming from with the Bernabei stuff. Let's see, what else? What else can we get? 40 days in the transfer window, spent 1 million. Sickening a bit, isn't it, when you word it like that? It looks terrible when you word it like that. That £1 million has been spent, especially when we've seen the end of year financial results, when we've seen the profit margins being published, when we've seen all of that. It really makes it harder to believe. And I think that's going to be, over the next week, that is going to be one of the bigger talking points on this channel especially. Like, we're going to have to get into the nitty-gritty, and we're going to have to discuss the fact that the window has been poor if we haven't, if Friday rolls along and we don't look close to signing any other players, we're a week away from the season starting, and it'll be crazy to think about. You really like your players to come in and really kind of gel their way into the team through the pre-season, and we're really looking at a possibility of that not happening, which is unbelievable, to be quite honest. But ho-hum, I'm still confident that we'll make a couple signings. I really would like us to make a couple more signings, so we'll hope and pray. But I've seen something. There's been no left back rumours at all. Nothing. I've not even heard anything. Sometimes I'll get the odd message off someone. Good journalist never reviews his sources. Sometimes I'm not in the know by any stretch of the imagination. But the odd time you receive a message from somebody who you can call credible, and I have heard not one thing about a left back. Not one. Which is insane when you consider the fact that there is one left back at the club, and it's Greg Taylor. Greg Taylor gets injured, what do we do? Are we going to play Scales at left back? Is that the plan? Yeah, I've heard nothing at all about any left backs throughout the entirety of summer, neither through articles that have been published or through anybody that I could call a credible contact. Nothing at all, which is insane. I can't believe it. Sack the board, says Donny Ten Hands. That could be loud shouts by the end of this window, by the way. And I'm not going to get into it too far. I'm not going to get into it too much, in the sense that I'm not losing the rag yet. But you can make the case and talk about it a lot here, that Celtic are incredibly lucky. Not incredibly lucky. Lucky is not the word, but they are riding their luck a little bit in the fact that Rangers are in an absolute mess right now. But if they weren't in a mess, would that actually push Celtic to do some business? Is that the fact? Is Peter Lawwell scared to run away and kill the rest Scottish football competition? I don't know. But it's nuts to think about. I'm hearing Norwich want 8 million, is that correct? I can't confirm that for you, mate. I don't know what they want. There has been nothing published on what they want. They might want 8 million, they might not. But there's nothing at all that's been published indicating an actual figure that has been put out there yet in terms of what they want. Good evening to CFC 1888. What was the point in signing Tellio? He plays one game, gets loaned out for 2 years. I don't see the reason why we signed him. I think he was a signing that was meant for Ange Postecoglou. I think he was very unfortunate in that regard, where he kind of already agreed a move to Celtic before Ange had made it clear that he was going to Tottenham. So, listen, I don't think we can really blame the club for that one or blame anybody in particular for that one. I think that was something that might have worked very differently if Ange Postecoglou was still here. Listen, Rodgers didn't fancy him, and by all accounts, Tellio doesn't look good enough. I'm not scared to say that, and I don't mean to write him off. I would love him to work it. Just like every player who comes through the door at Celtic Park, I really want them to do well. But I don't think Tellio has done anything exceptional. At any level so far to suggest that he was going to be, like, he's been loaned back and he's not really done much. So I'm not overly fussed about it, but yeah, it's a bizarre signing altogether. Thank you to MV who's donated the 199, by the way. I really do appreciate that, MV. Saying, is this window not proper reminiscent of January? It's reminiscent of a few transfer windows, but yeah, it is reminiscent of January as well, because I think that we all went into January with this big ambition that the club were going to go out and sign this left back. They were going to go and maybe sign a centre back when that Phillips returned to Liverpool. They were going to sign different areas, and they ended the window with what, Adam Idol on loan. Yeah, it's reminiscent, absolutely. Thank you for the donation, though. But there's been a few windows like that in recent times. There's been a lot of windows like that. Even this last summer was a really weird window in the sense we were making signings, but none of them were coming in to improve the club. We couldn't look at anyone and say with a definite attitude or opinion that they were going to improve the starting 11. Some of them we had ambitions for that to happen with, maybe like Odin Thiago Holm, who I thought would be, maybe a good player for Celtic, but it just wasn't fancied by the manager. Thank you, Dean, by the way. I very much appreciate that, Dean. God bless. Dean with the 499 says, glad to see O'Reilly in the home top. Hopefully he stays in it for another season. Yep, absolutely. Thoughts on the away top? I think the Clover badge has been overused. Yeah, I'm kind of done with the Clover badge, mate. We've not even spoke about the away top really on the channel that much. I like it. I think it's a nice shirt. I love the yellow away shirts. I'm a big fan of this shirt. But I just wish it was the normal badge. I'm done with the Clover badge now. It was cool for a one-off. But I think, when you start putting on the shirts every year, it gets a little bit tedious, I think. But hopefully we see Matt O'Reilly playing both the home and away shirt the whole season, Dean. And thank you to Ryan for the 10 Aussie dollars. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Hope you're well. Said, good lad for keeping the content coming. A well-deserved break will come. Yeah, well, listen, I'm away to Berlin at the end of next month for a few days. So, listen, I'll make up for the cancelled holiday and the break will be worth it. Listen, I can't complain. I don't really necessarily feel like I need a break. I've enjoyed this summer, and I enjoy when it's actual constant conversation to have. There's just been a few days, like today, for example, when there's not an awful lot to talk about, and that can get quite tedious and quite annoying. But thank you. I really do appreciate the last couple of donations. Just a shout out to everybody who has donated. Stephen, Ian, MV, Dean and Ryan. I do appreciate it. Thank you, lads. And God bless, as I said. It's too big. It is far too big. Any other questions? Board definitely keeping money for something that could be a stadium expand. Listen, you never... I've always been under the idea and the impression that they're never going to expand Celtic Park until the day they knock it down and they build a new one. I don't think they'll ever expand it. But, I mean, if it happened in 5 years' time due to this season ticket demand and waiting list problems, if they were going to expand it, then it would answer a lot of questions as to why we're not spending big with all this money in the bank. But I genuinely don't think so, Kieran. I think that they're just tight. It's as simple as that. I think they're just really, really tight. And they don't want to spend. And I think that they have the comfort of and this is the thing, we are in, and I'm not going to get too deep into it because I'm hitting the half-hour mark and I'd like to answer maybe a couple more questions as well, right? But I think the Celtic board are some of the luckiest human beings in football, because no matter what they do, we'll call them out. We absolutely will, right? We call them out year after year, not even year after year, month after month for certain issues at the club. One of the biggest issues, of course, recruitment and transfer spendings. We don't spend enough. We don't go where we should be going. We don't invest enough in what we believe the fans should see, right? But they get away with it because right now, and I mean, I know there's a couple of Rangers fans who'll be watching right now, and I've seen a couple in the chat. I mean this with all due respect. Rangers have been nowhere near Celtic for the last 10 years. They haven't been anywhere near Celtic for the last 15 years, really. I know they won that 3 in a row in the late 2000s, but they've not, 15 years, really. They've not been close to Celtic, financially especially. And this is the thing, apart from that COVID season where they managed to win the league behind empty crowds and closed doors, You know, as much as we'll moan at the board, this is a board that's confident and comfortable knowing that at the end of the year, Celtic are going to win a double or a treble. And fans will be buzzing. And they'll go, we didn't need to spend the money because we're going to win leagues. Right now, I think the board are so confident that Celtic are going to win the league every single year. But what's the danger in that? It's the same thing that we've said year after year after year. Falling asleep at the wheel. Because if we fall asleep at the wheel, one day Rangers will take advantage of it. Like they did that one season back in 2021. So, you know, these things happen. But I think that the board are so confident that we're just going to win it every single year. And it's like, well, we don't need to spend money. But we want to see improvement in Europe. We want to see ambition for the club. We want to go further than that. So I hope that they really deliver in this last month. Look, listen, there's still over a full month left of this transfer window. There's still time to deliver some big signings and spend some big money. But right now, there's no stories indicating that that's about to happen anytime soon. DM McDonald Murray saying, as fans, we are quite fickle. Fans need to hit the board where it hurts. Until Celtic Park stops selling out, Champions League nights especially, and kits don't get bought, nothing will change. Absolutely, we are constantly bankrolling into the club. And we're all guilty of that. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm not guilty of it. I renew my season ticket every year. I'm on the Home Cup ticket scheme. I buy my Celtic tops. We're all guilty of it. It's a hard thing to give up when it's the club that you love. Sadly, it just feels like it's been taken away from us a little bit. But I mean, there's not much you could do. Thank you, Ian, the legend. Thank you. I appreciate that with the $4.99. Ian saying, I thought the old board, the Whites, Kellys and that were bad enough, but this lot are twice as bad. Wow. That's a statement. That's a statement. Look, listen, I think, I will also say, right, and I always try to caveat myself in saying this, right, we do complain about the board. We absolutely do. And we deserve to. They deserve the criticism. Absolutely. Ian, you're not far off in saying that they've been an annoying board at the least, right? But what I will say is when you look at the nick of Rangers across the road, once again, I mean this with all due respect to the Rangers fans who are peering in on this live stream, right? Rangers aren't even starting their season at their home ground because of a mess. They are skint. The managers came out and said he can't spend any more money without selling players. They have got a squad that hasn't been improved when they're miles behind Celtic. Rangers are a mess, and a lot of that's down to the people that are running their club. So what I will say sometimes is, for as much as we complain, and for as much as we are, annoyed, at least we've got people who are competent at running a football club. At least we've got people who have left Celtic in a very good state, and they deserve the respect for that. But once again, falling asleep at the wheel. Thank you, Ian, for the donation. Let's see. Let's get a couple more questions before I go off. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about shite in the chat. I don't know. I'm still a commentator. I will not be at the Garage show, sadly, because I'm in Berlin. But I'll be at the next ICW show. Yep, August 4th, live from the Asylum. It is ICW Heavy Roasting. And I will be there. I will be beside Billy on the commentary. I won't be at Bard, though, in the Hydro, sadly. Yeah, I mean, there you go. As a Rangers fan there, Caleb. Thanks for commenting, Caleb. But honestly, I like hearing opinions from the other side. Who says, I have been lurking. I'm a Rangers fan, but I speak the truth. Celtic are miles ahead of us at the minute. Our board is a shambles. We're skint. And you're not biased. Keep it up, mate. Thank you. I try my best not to be biased. I'm saying how it is. Rangers right now are in a state. And that's as simple as that. Doesn't mean they've not got a chance of competing with Celtic. They're just, the people running Rangers are crooks, from my point of view. And they're taking the fans for a ride. And we get taken for a ride, just not to the same extent. But thank you, Caleb. I do appreciate that, mate. And feel free to comment whenever you like. Right, a couple more questions. Couple more, and we'll wrap up for this evening, shall we? The board will give us just enough to be better than the other Scottish teams, which is why we'll never get anywhere in Europe. Yep. Couldn't argue with that. Couldn't argue with it at all. I am in Berlin for the derby, actually. I am, so I won't be at the first derby of the season. They just love timing. It's to say I missed the one at Ibrox because I was in Philadelphia. So it's just my luck. We should be going full throttle. I would love. Look, listen, if I own Celtic, and listen, maybe this is why I don't own Celtic, but if I own Celtic, I would be putting. And once again, I don't mean to sound like a biased fan or anything like that, but if I was in the situation that Celtic and Rangers are both in right now, and I own Celtic, I would be sticking the knife so deep into the jugular that there was no room to breathe. I would not be allowing Rangers to recover from it. And that's how I feel like we should operate, but we just don't want to. Anyway, that'll do it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Over 400 live viewers. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow with a video, depending on what's happening in the news, and we'll probably have another one of these live streams very soon as well. Of course, the Celtic Defender is due to return next week too, which you'll be happy to know. Still haven't sorted out who Ryan McGinley's replacement is yet, but we'll come on to that. So thank you. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the Celtic game this evening. If I'm up and alive for it, I might tweet during it. So, yeah, you know. Right, take care. God bless. See you next time.